Hi, my name's Isaac, and this is a brand new Lincoln Nautilus. And today, I'm gonna review it for you guys. I have reviewed hundreds of cars on this channel over the years, and I mean it when I say I think this Nautilus might just be the most luxurious car I have ever reviewed. This thing genuinely rivals Bentleys in its levels of opulence. Honestly, I'm surprised I haven't seen more commercials for it. Like, whatever happened to those Matthew McConaughey ones?
One of the greatest mysteries I've ever faced is why my film U-571 failed at the box office. It was a recipe for success. Apart from just me, it had a stacked cast. It was a World War II movie when World War II movies were hot. And it was directed by the guy that directed Breakdown. Man, I love Breakdown. I also love my Lincoln Nautilus.
I love that this is my job. Anyway, let's get started with the review. Starting out up front on the Nautilus, I really like the overall design here. I think it's particularly sharp on this front end. You'll have full LED headlights and an LED daytime running light that wraps through the grille. The Lincoln logo also lights up here. When you walk up to the Nautilus, it gives you this little light dance that Lincoln calls Lincoln Embrace. It's actually pretty cool, and it also does it on the rear end. Continuing down here on the front end, you'll have a front-facing camera, parking sensors, and a sensor down here for the safety system that this Nautilus is equipped with. That works in conjunction with a camera at the top of the windshield. Moving underneath the hood in the Nautilus, this is powered by a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, and this is a fully hybrid electric vehicle, meaning it also gets a boost from a 100 kilowatt battery. Though this is not a plug-in hybrid, so all you need to do is fill it up with gas. Speaking of gas, the EPA estimates that this gets 30 city, 31 highway, and in my testing, I averaged 28 miles per gallon. Moving to the shade and the profile of the Nautilus, starting here with the wheels and tires, you're going to get 255 45R Goodyears around these absolutely wild 22-inch wheels. Now, I personally really like the styling here, though I realize it's probably an acquired taste. I think it works with the rest of the rugged and sleek styling of this Nautilus as a whole. Continuing on, you'll have a Nautilus badge right here, and there's what appears to be a little button right here, but pressing it doesn't do anything. And I was confused at what that was for the longest time. Well, turns out that's actually the emergency access keyhole for the door. If your fob loses power, you can still get inside the car. There's like a little hidden switchblade part of the key that can pop out, and then you put it in there, turn, and it'll open the door, like the old cars used to do. So that is what that little thing is for. Moving on to the mirrors, you will have turn signal indicators, a camera right here for the 360-degree camera system, and there is a little puddle light. At nighttime, the mirrors will display what Lincoln calls the welcome mat, which is basically a culmination of little Lincoln logos on the ground. It's actually kind of neat. Continuing on with the mirrors, they are power folding, power adjusting, and you do have blind spot monitoring as well. Moving on, this has some very unique door handles, which are also illuminated at nighttime. They're right here. You probably wouldn't notice that at first glance. You can put your hand behind it, and there's a little sensor that you can touch, and that will open the door. It's a neat design detail, and again makes the profile of this look all the more sleek. Lincoln started doing this a few years ago, and I really like that eccentricity, I suppose you could say, of their vehicles. Right here, you can see there is a passcode system, so if you want to lock your keys in the vehicle and leave to go on some sort of snowy mountain adventure and you don't want to bring anything, you can set a code and that will be able to be punched in right there. And if you want to lock the vehicle, you just tap that little lock right there at the bottom, because there's no sensor pad here to lock the vehicle like on most traditional vehicles that have keyless entry. And if you want to unlock it, you just tap that. It will unlock that door and it will show you on the little sensor. So that's cool.
Alpha Shark will be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Hey, are you interested in winning one of the coolest Broncos ever built? Well, today I've teamed up with fundraising platform All True to give you guys the chance to win this 1966 Bronco with modern upgrades. It has the classic Bronco exterior, but it has a more modernized and luxurious interior. It's been custom built by the experts at Gateway Bronco, and it includes a third-gen Ford 5-liter engine, a Kinser engineering chassis, 18-inch billet machined wheels, a distressed Italian leather interior, Apple CarPlay plus Bluetooth audio, and more. This whole Bronco is worth over $250,000. But that's not all. If you win, you'll also receive an additional $50,000 in cash for taxes. And the best part is, this is all for charity. All the proceeds will support 6degrees.org and their mission to sustain and enrich local communities. You can enter to win this Bronco by going to alltrue.com/alphashark. And if you use the promo code ALPHA50, you can get 50 additional entries towards the Bronco. That's alltrue.com/alphashark and promo code ALPHA50. Good luck, guys.
And now, back to the video.
Moving down the profile, it's still very sleek, and continuing on to the rear, I love the light bar. I think it's very nice. You'll get parking sensors, and then there is a backup camera right here. Lincoln is displayed below the LED light bar. That also lights up at nighttime, which I think is another neat addition. And as you can see, the LED light bar is doing its little dance. There is a massive third brake light up here. Now, if you want to open up the rear liftgate, there are a few different ways to do that. If you'd like, you can do it from the key fob. That's a pretty traditional way to open up the rear liftgate. More commonly, you also have the ability to swipe your foot and back up. And then you can also open up the liftgate by using the button on the rear or the button on the interior. Moving into the rear cargo space, there is quite a bit of room back here. And if you lift this up, there is a donut, which is always nice to see. You do get your jack down there if you ever do end up getting a flat. Now, there is a 12 volt here. You can pop these down for some little storage hangers. And you do have buttons right here to drop the second row seats automatically. You can just tap those and they will fold down. There's also LED lights back here. And then if you'd like to close up the rear, there is a button up here you can just tap. And it will make this nice noise to let you know that it is closing and to stay away as it locks itself. Moving back to the key very quickly, in addition to the ability to open up the rear liftgate, you'll also have lock, unlock, panic, and remote start. Moving to the interior of the Lincoln Nautilus, there is a ton to talk about in here. I'm going to try to get to everything. There are so many features here. Like I said, this very well may rival a Bentley in luxury amenities. Starting here with the door panel, you'll have your lock and unlock, your seat controls, the memory position buttons, because this does have power seats. I'll talk about that in a little bit. There are so many power seat adjustments. You'll have your window controls, your mirror controls, the ability to fold the mirrors. You can tap that. And then this is very plush up here. I love how the door trim flows into this massive screen that we'll talk about in a second. But look at how gorgeous these speakers are on the door. As it plays this lovely chime to let us know that we have the door open. Appreciate how wonderful the stitching is and how elaborate these speaker grills are. This has a 28 speaker system from Revel. It's incredible. It sounds wonderful in here. There's a lot of different settings to adjust the audio, of course. So that is amazing. Right here on the door, you might notice this is red, but as I close the door, it goes blue. You know, it's letting me know, hey, you know, the door's open, but now it goes into the color that I have pre-selected for the interior lighting. I'll talk about that in a sec too. Down here, you will have your gas cap door controls, the button that I previously mentioned to open up the rear liftgate, your lighting, electronic parking brake, and then down there is the button to pop the hood. Right here, you will have a button to automatically adjust the steering wheel positioning. And this is kind of an oval shaped steering wheel. As you can see, in combination with this and the screen, it's very nautical themed in here, but it's probably one of the reasons it's called the Nautilus. Here on the steering wheel, it is very comfortable, though it does take some getting used to with its shape. It is a little bizarre. I've gotten used to it throughout the week, and I really enjoy it, but I could see that it might be complicated for other people initially getting into the car because they're not used to a nearly flat-topped and bottomed steering wheel like this. It's almost like a pretzel. Then you'll have your lighting controls, your window washing controls right there. And then as you might notice, there's no specific buttons telling me on here what the buttons do. There's this little one down here for what looks like cruise control, but nothing else is lit up. There's no illumination. How will I know what's volume? How will I know what's channel changing? Well, if I hover my thumb over this, up here on the screen, it will actually show me where my thumb is, which button it's on, and then what the available buttons are, because they do change at times. So scrolling over here, you can see if I click this button, now it gives me more options right there, and I can click this, and I can go up and down. It's actually a very, very nifty feature, and I like that it's included here. It's very futuristic. I mean, that's basically the quickest summation of this interior. It's very futuristic, but it's now. I guess we don't really say it's very present, you know, it's a very present design. Right here, there is a sensor for the self-driving. This has Blue Cruise, Ford's self-driving system. So this sensor makes sure that your eyes are on the road as it's doing that. I have had the opportunity to let the Blue Cruise system get to work and drive the vehicle throughout this week, and it's very interesting. I'll save my full thoughts for it when I get to the driving segment. I didn't plan this in advance. Which way should we go? Should we go up to this screen or down here? Well, let's start down here because this touch screen controls most of this large screen right here, which is not a touch screen. There's stuff that you can adjust on here with this screen. So basically, you'll have the traditional Apple CarPlay, Android Auto capabilities in here. Your climate controls are built in down here. I'm not a huge fan of that. I just don't love that I have to go into the screen to turn the airspeed up, for example. Now, that is pretty easily accessible, but I still have to take my eyes off the road to look at where that button is. And then if I were to do something like pull up the entire climate controls, I have to adjust where the airflow comes out of on the screen. Very similar to a Tesla. There's no manual adjustment right here. I have to do it all within the screen. That hasn't been a massive issue for me this week, but I definitely can see it being annoying for certain people. I wish I just had a little tab I could manually adjust there. Again, it has all these futuristic features, and because they can do it, they do.
Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
This also has heated and ventilated seats, as well as a heated steering wheel, and there is massaging seats on here. You can access those by tapping a button on the side of the seat, or you could go into this menu, click seats, and then massage. And there are quite a lot of different options to do that. It is so comfortable. It's incredible. I love the ability to do this. It is so plush. These seats feel so premium. In addition to the massaging functionality, you do have the ability to adjust the lumbar from here. You can tighten up the grip the chair has in different spaces. It's really quite advanced, and that really helps these 3 memory settings come in handy. So those are there. You have a drive mode selector right here: conserve, excite, slippery. A lot of vehicles have the drive mode selector, so that's cool to see. And then traction control, valet mode, vehicle status. Digital scent is perhaps one of the most incredible things I've ever experienced in a vehicle. This is the first car I've had as a press vehicle, or even a vehicle I've reviewed at a dealership that has this. So basically, if I click digital scents, it gives me 3 different options: violet cashmere, ozonic azure, or mystic forest. And if I click this, it gives me 3 different power options, how strong I want this scent to come in. And right down here in the armrest, it pushes the scent through, and you can start to smell it. Now, obviously, I don't have smell-o-vision here on the car, but it smells really good. And to access those little scents, they're cartridges that are right here. So you can pop that out, and they are Lincoln branded. I looked it up because I was curious. It is $30 for one of these to refill it, and there is quite a lot of different options that Lincoln gives you. If you don't want these 3, you can definitely find something that suits your styling. But I think it's so neat. Like, what an incredibly unique and fun feature. Again, something I wouldn't have expected on a Lincoln, but probably more so on something like a Bentley. Now, if we go down here and we tap this button, this will give us some customization on the screen up here. Maybe I don't want the weather, but I'd rather have my tire pressure. I can drag that up into the screen, and voila, tire pressure will appear. Maybe I want to move weather over there. Bing, bang, boom. And I'd like my clock instead of my Apple CarPlay. That works as well. So there is some customization right there. And then if we go into the settings, click settings right there, go down, display. There are different themes on this larger screen. So we could do Inspire, for example, and instead of the beautiful constellation, we get these rocky, kind of Mars-like canyons on the screen. For the most part, this stays the same over here. You have your maps, your digital speedometer, and some of the other information displayed on this part of the screen, as well as a little Nautilus. So when you activate that blue cruise or just the regular cruise control, it will pop up there. It's just incredible, frankly. I have never been in a vehicle like this, and it absolutely elevates the experience of this interior. Now, you might be wondering, wait, Isaac, doesn't this distract you? What if it's a big distraction as you're driving? Well, I haven't really noticed it. Once I get into drive mode, I'm looking past the display, and it hasn't been an issue for me. I think it's incorporated really, really well. Now, if I put my foot on the brake and go down here to our shifter, yes, these buttons are how you shift, and I tap reverse, that will pull up a backup camera right here and give me a 360-degree top-down view with guiding lines. That's very neat. And if I want to zoom in on anything, I can do that right here. Or if I just want the backup camera and not the 360, I can do that here as well. So putting it in drive, I can tap this button down here, and that will pull up the front camera. So if I'm creeping along in a parking lot and I don't want to hit the curb as I'm pulling into a space, that is incredibly useful. Very, very helpful. So, man, those are just a few of the things that this screen can do. There's Bluetooth, there's other driver assistance features, there's just a whole host. Like, for example, if I tap this, you can see Sirius XM, Alexa, YouTube is built into this, so you can watch Alpha Shark while you're parked. Yes, you can only watch while you're parked. There is a limit to the safety things on here. You just can't watch YouTube and drive. So, continuing on down here, I've mentioned this is the shifter, putting it back into park. You have auto hold right here, your hazard button. This button right here helps you park and parallel park. Basically, you just pull up. If you tap this, go into parking assistance. You can search for a parking spot. I believe Ford is taking this away, though, on future vehicles because not many people actually use this feature on Ford products, and I can see why. I've used it in the past. It's very fun. It's kind of a neat gimmick, but it does take a little while. And if you're an experienced parallel parker or a regular parker, you can most likely get in the spot quicker than the vehicle can. So I can see why it's not used too often. Max defrost right there, the aforementioned camera button, and then there is a drive mode selector right here. You can access it from the screen or on there. There is a few different parts of this car that do have redundancies, like this, for example. And then this is your like crystal volume selector. I think that's so funny that the centerpiece of this is just the volume, but I am absolutely here for it. Down here, you'll have a wireless charger, 2 cup holders, USB and USB-C. This does close if you'd like it to for a little bit of a workstation right here. As I mentioned, opening this up, I have my Apple cord in here, 2 more USB-Cs, and a 12 volt as well as a little storage pouch right here that can pop out. It is not adjustable, but it is nice that you do have the ability to pop that out if you'd like. Then moving up here, you have an auto dimming mirror. This one does not have the mirror camera out the back. That may be available, but it isn't on this one. Then right here, you have these nice dome lights that you can just tap and they will pop on. And then you have the controls right here for the panoramic moonroof and the vent shade to close that, which is very, very cool. Then regular sunglass holder up here. My truck has a sunglass holder. That's basically the only thing that these two cars share. And then popping this down, you will have a little mirror with these nice LED lights so you can make sure you look your best before you get out of your Lincoln Nautilus. Moving to the rear seats, they're very nice and super comfortable, just like the front seats. And while you might not get the glowing effect in the door panel like you do up front, there are some other nice amenities back here, and it does glow down here underneath the seats. You'll have 2 USB-Cs behind the driver and passenger seat for charging, so that's always welcome. The speaker grills are just as high quality back here as they are up front. You'll get heated seats back here. Disappointingly, no ventilated seats. I'd really like to see that, but it is nice that you have the inclusion of heated ones. I will never say no to that. You also get climate vents back here. And then the center seat does fold out to give you an armrest, a little storage space, and cup holders. Always, again, a welcome addition. These seats do recline a little bit. As you can see, I have my row reclined a little bit, which is very nice. So you can rest back here, and there is a grab handle to slide the row forward if you want. You can do that. Give yourself a little bit more of a recline. All right, driving the Lincoln Nautilus. This is an incredibly smooth and premium feeling ride. I absolutely love the handling here. The suspension is like a cloud. It's really, really plush. It eats up bumps on the road incredibly well. It like shocks me at how comfortable this is, especially for $70,000. There is nothing like this that I'm aware of in the price range that has anywhere near the features, the driving experience, and the build quality that this Nautilus has. I think the interior materials are put together really well, and I'm very impressed by the overall package. Now, when it comes to the driving experience, as I've said, very plush, very smooth. You also have the added benefit of Blue Cruise, which is the self-driving assist on the highway feature. I'd like to think of it as super duper cruise control. It basically will drive itself completely hands-free on the highway, but there are some caveats. It doesn't work on back roads, and there's still some stuff they're working out. I decided to use this on a road trip that I was on a little earlier this week, and so I had Blue Cruise going for about 2 hours, and it was incredible. It did everything. It turned around corners on the highway, it slowed down for other vehicles in front of you, it sped up when they moved out of the way. If you tapped the turn signal, it changed lanes automatically. It was very, very impressive. Now, 2 things stood out to me on Blue Cruise that I would consider detractors. Overall, it did excellent, but the things were, for one, when I was going around a turn, if Blue Cruise was activated and there was a car in front of me that switched over into the other lane, Blue Cruise would compensate by speeding up on the cruise control if I had it set slightly higher, but even going into a turn. And so sometimes it took turns very fast. And at one point, I actually took over control because it might have been able to handle it, but it was going into a turn really, really fast. The second thing is that as Blue Cruise is activated, again, going around turns, if the turn turned into, this is like a tongue twister, if the turn turned into an off-ramp, sometimes Blue Cruise got confused if it was supposed to go into the off-ramp lane because the lines stopped there, or if it should stay in the lane that it continually was in. And there wasn't any points that Blue Cruise fully turned into the exit ramp, but there was a couple times that it started and then it would whip back because it would realize it was going into the wrong thing, and that's a little unsafe. I definitely wouldn't fully rely on Blue Cruise, but I was pretty impressed with the overall experience. Well, that's just about going to wrap up my review of the Lincoln Nautilus. I really hope you guys enjoyed. I had a blast filming this video. Before I go, though, I'd like to mention that I'm a Christian, and if you have any prayer requests, I would love to be able to pray for you. You can leave those in the comment section below. And lastly, I like to close out on a scriptural reading. This week, I'm in the book of Proverbs, chapter 10, verse 9. Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but he who makes his ways crooked will be found out. All right, guys, I'll see you next time. And remember, no matter what vehicle you drive, I hope it lasts you a long time and it serves you well. Take care.